Hello, everyone. Welcome to the premiere episode of Dr. Dia's podcast. So, today's special guest is Captain Diabetes, a good friend of mine. And we get into work stories, his diabetes diagnosis, how he found out. We also talk about our future careers and also what we've been doing as of lately and meeting each other in real life. I hope you enjoy. All right, Captain. Welcome to Dr. Dia's podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing the best I can be, as per usual.
You're looking
How about
quite cute
yourself?
today. Pretty good, pretty good. So, what do you think of the setting?
This is not what I expected, to be honest.
Okay, were you expecting like
As
actual
we
studio?
had gone through the prior ones.
True.
I do like the background. I like the treehouse.
I did want to use this jellyfish background they have, but the jellyfish literally fly right through where we're sitting, so it wouldn't have worked out well.
Yeah, that sounds annoying.
And all the other ones, they have kaleidoscopes and stuff. It was just really bright. So I didn't think that would fit very well. But I can definitely change them as I continue to do this show. But you are on the first episode. You know, how does it feel to be chosen to be first?
Honored, to say the least. Still question why me out of all of the other people, to be honest. But not gonna question your judgment.
I mean, I think it's because we're pretty tight. You know, we know each other pretty well at this point. And it's been almost 4 months since we first met.
Has it been 4 months already? I thought it was more around like 3.
Probably 3 months and 10 days. Somewhere around there.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So, what do you remember about the first time we met?
I remember you walking up to me and asking me what type of diabetes I have.
Where were we? Do you remember where we were at?
Shit. No.
We were at Sunset Bar. I believe it was Ryan's bar instance.
Yes.
And you were just standing there kind of close to the bar, but not at the bar, facing the pool table. And I saw your name, and I immediately was very interested.
I guess I can smoke it. What the fuck?
Please don't blow smoke on the camera. But
I don't know what the fuck that was.
So I went up to you and I asked you about your type of diabetes, and then we talked about the glucose monitors and how you should probably not walk into a large electromagnetic field with a glucose monitor because it will fry it. I remember saying that.
Sounds about right.
And then you were talking about the different ones you've used in the past. So which one are you using now?
Yeah. Right now I'm using the Freestyle Libre, the 3 Plus. I only know that because I refilled my prescription last Monday. And prior to that, I was using the Dexcom G6. To be honest, I prefer the G6. It's a lot better, a lot more well-made. It's just ridiculously expensive.
So do you get it with your prescription refill, or you just buy it separately from your insulin prescription? I'm kind of confused about that.
So the insulin prescription is only insulin, and the CGM specifically, like both of them, it is a completely separate thing. For a little bit of context, if you want me to get into prices and all of that.
Yeah.
The Dexcom, I'm pretty sure my insurance does not cover at all, so it would cost me multiple thousands to use that. Whereas the Libre, which I have on about right here right now, right now, as of last when I refilled, it was 148 something for a 3-month supply, which I don't find that bad. The time I filled it before that was like 225 though. I don't know why there's a price difference, but I saved like $80 at least.
So is there like value packs where if you buy a bunch of them, you get them for less?
I don't know because I got a 3-month supply both times, but the price was different.
And you get these shipped?
No, I get them from I get them called into my pharmacy, and they will just fill it there, and I just go get it next day. I just got to call into my endocrinologist, be like, hey, I need this filled, and they put the prescription in. Then I just go there, get it.
Okay. How often
Same with
do you
insulin.
how often do you get labs done?
Right now it's about every 4 months, as my endocrinologist is like, you don't really need to be here every 3 months. So instead of doing it 4 times a year, we only go 3 times a year.
Okay. Do you know if you need to be screened more if you have type 2 or screened the same
I know
amount?
nothing about type 2.
Okay.
Like, genuinely, that, if I had to guess, would probably vary depending on how well you control your diet, how well controlled your blood sugar is, and all of that. But I can't really speak on that.
Okay. You just really mainly know the difference so you can tell people?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So how old were you when you got diagnosed?
I was about 19, which is not really normal per se for type 1. Type 1, typically you're a lot younger. Like, more like, it's usually when you're a small child that you develop it. But I probably developed it around 17, and I say that because my junior going into my senior year, I had lost 110 pounds, just not changing my diet or anything. And there were a lot more symptoms that I should have realized, like, hey, something's wrong. And I never really fully realized it was diabetes until I tried to join the military. Went to go there, went up to MEPS and everything. And when I did the piss test, they were like, yeah, you have a lot of sugar in your urine. As soon as I said that, I was like, diabetes.
Okay.
And then I still put it off for another month.
So what was the reason for you getting tested?
In what sense? Like at MEPS?
Yeah, that's right. So you were trying to join the military.
So that's just standard. Like, you go up to MEPS, they just do a bunch of tests and everything, draw your blood, have you do a piss test, make sure you can actually pass that. No drugs, no nothing, no other issues. Too much protein in your urine would be an issue there. I know people who have had that issue. The sugar, obviously, with me. And yeah, just make sure you're actually healthy enough to join the military.
So what was your reasoning to try and join the military?
Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing in life, and I was just like, yeah, go join the Marines, do 4 years, come back, figure it out.
Okay.
I still don't know what I'm doing in my life.
Yeah, and you're very patriotic, as I know. So,
Yeah.
that is, part of it, part of the reasoning, I feel like. But it definitely can give you a good stance, a good thing to build off of, and the community with it too.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
So what brought you to VRChat? How long have you been playing VRChat for?
So I originally started playing VRChat around the time that it came out, and it was very popular. Didn't really play it a whole lot back then, maybe like 2-3 weeks total. And then I came back probably about a month before I met you. And I literally just re-downloaded VRChat just to join and troll with a bunch of people. Like, I think it was like 3 buddies at the time. And I think within the next few days after that, I met the group of people, Ryan's group.
Mhm.
And I've actually just enjoyed playing VRChat and talking to people since then.
So did you troll for a short period of time and then you met Ryan's group? Or you just re-downloaded it?
Honestly, it was probably like 3 days. I downloaded to troll, got on to troll again, trolled a little bit, and I think the third time I ended up joining a black cat. I saw Uni sitting there, and I ended up talking to Uni and a few other people. And then Ryan joined, and I ended up getting invited to the group. And then, like, not long after that, he made the Discord.
Okay. And I didn't even know I looked at the members list, and there's an OGs list.
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
on the OGs list. Okay.
yeah. That was actually made. Shit. How long ago did you make the OG list, Connie? The OG list on Discord. How long ago did you add that? That was. I'm pretty sure that was on the drive back down. It's like week and a half.
Okay. So
But yeah.
when it comes to VRChat, for me, I didn't even play it until late 2023. So I got a 2017 Oculus Rift in 2017, I think, for Christmas. And I played Pavlov very briefly, but I'm not really into competitive games, so I just kind of was like, this is cool. This is a really cool tech, but I didn't really get into any of the games at the time. And then probably 2020, 2021, I started seeing VRChat videos on YouTube. And I just thought it was a super weird community. I just thought everybody was gay and like just freaky, which
Yeah.
there's absolutely truth to that, but not everyone is like that. Because there's so many people that play the game, I didn't realize so many types of people played the game. So then one day, arguably under the influence, I was like, I am so bored. I want to do something that I've never done before. So I just pulled out the VR headset, plugged it in. It was still working. It sat in my closet for that long, since 2017 pretty much. And I was surprised it worked. I was just hoping that all the software was still good. And at the time, I could still run Oculus, the Oculus platform, on my PC. And then probably a couple months after that, then it said, can no longer use Oculus Launchpad. Have to download MetaQuest. So now I have to launch. So I guess Meta bought Oculus or something, or at least their software. So now I have to use like a Meta link, even though I have the Oculus. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But
Yeah, that sounds really weird.
Yeah.
Again, I know nothing about VR. This is literally my third time in VR.
Yeah. So you have the Oculus Quest 3 attached to your PC. Is that what you're rocking?
This is the MetaQuest 2,
MetaQuest 2. Okay.
I believe.
You believe.
Pretty
It
sure.
is your third time in VR. Okay. I'll give you a break on not knowing what the headset is. But typically when I met you, you were in desktop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only real attraction to the game, I feel like, in desktop, which I have played very rarely, is the people and the worlds.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I haven't really checked out a lot of the worlds. It's just been a lot of me talking to people.
Yeah, and you and I have gotten pretty deep before. And one thing that kind of comes to mind was
I'm gonna not do that.
I was doing a fears list, and I asked you not necessarily jokingly, but just in general, I wanted to see what you would say, and you took your time to actually think. I actually thought you weren't. I didn't think you were ignoring me. I don't know what was going on. You just weren't speaking for very long, and I was like, "What's going on?" I'm thinking, man. This is stuff I've never really thought about.
Yeah. Still something like it's one of those things I don't really think about unless I'm asked about it, and then I have to think. And thinking is hard sometimes.
Fair enough. Especially when you have to do a lot of thinking at work or school. And why would you want to spend that extra time thinking about things that you may not even be able to change in the moment? Or you're just deathly afraid of?
I agree with you on that.
So
definitely agree on that.
When it comes to meeting people in VRChat, we kind of have our little group and stuff. And it just so happens some of us lived in America. And we decided to meet up. Well, first, talk about how you obtained your girlfriend, I guess. However much you want to say about that.
Oh, man. How do I even explain that? That was something that was not expected in the slightest. So, to put it to short, put it shortly, I met her through VRChat. I knew her for probably a month until maybe a month? Probably about a month until we actually started talking. And it all stemmed from she needed help on a lawnmower.
Okay.
So I called her on Discord to try to help with the lawnmower. And about 45 minutes into the call, she ended up breaking something and being like, I'm just not dealing with it. And then it turned into a 5-hour long Discord call. And from there, it's just been... I'm not really sure how to word it. It's just... It formed into a relationship. And... Yeah. I just... Not really sure what to add to that, if there's anything that I really could add to that.
Well, I mean, how far were you guys geographically from each other?
Okay, geographically, it is about 750 miles, a little bit less. Just say 700 for a good average. About a 9.5, 10-hour drive. Really not that bad. Yeah.
And then how did the topic of
I'm in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, how did the topic of actually meeting up happen? You guys came to the conclusion together, or did one of you ask, is that even possible?
Shit, actually. How did that happen? I believe I had mentioned, like, I'm not against driving down there to actually meet. And then, like, a week or two later, it was like, yeah, we can do this. And then I think literally a week or two after that, I was down there. Which... kind of wild
Yeah,
to think about.
That timeline is very short, but it worked out. It really did.
Yeah, it's worked out really good.
Obviously, she's in the room or around you right now.
She's hold up, that way, over there.
Okay. So, at least for me, it has been my dream since pretty much late 2023 when I started playing the game and meeting people. A lot of the people I met were overseas, and I was getting to the point where I wanted to fulfill the dream of meeting somebody from VRChat in real life. And I was thinking about making plans to fly to other countries and stuff, and there was some roadblocks, like my passport expired, and I don't know if I really have the time to get it renewed, stuff like that. And I was just really hoping I could get close to somebody in the US on VRChat, and then we could finally meet each other, because driving anywhere in the US is relatively easy. I mean, or flying, but driving is better.
To a degree, unless you're on one coast, and that going coast to coast, but a bit of pain in the ass.
Yeah. And especially if the location of the person you're trying to go to has something really cool you want to go, you can go see a location or go do something you've never done before. And then you came along and you told me where you lived, and I was like, that's pretty far, but I mean, it's possible. It was kind of in the back of my mind. And then you met with your girlfriend, and I thought, this guy is willing to go to the ends of the earth. Like, this guy is down, okay? And then kind of the topic came up, and the timing worked out really well for me. I was on break from college, and I was available. And it just so happened you were going to see her again, and you stopped by. That was super dope. I really appreciate your time coming over. That was super cool.
Of course. I still wish I could have stayed longer. One of these times we'll have to do something to where I can actually stay there a little bit longer than that. I was only there for what, 3.5 hours?
Yeah. I mean, if you had spent the night, that would have been dope. We could have had like a movie night. We could have made more burnt pizza. Like it could have been amazing.
Yeah. on that, just to make the comment, because I actually thought about this like a few days ago. I think what you could have done is had a spray bottle to cool that stone down a little bit before you put the pizza on because it was way too hot. That might not have been a bad idea, but putting water on a stone like that
Yeah.
might have been a bad idea.
Cracking,
Because that
it's
could
cracked
be a
before.
little bit of like a, yeah.
The best thing would have been if we actually put it in the. Okay, so just some background for the audience. I was trying to cook a homemade pizza on a big green egg with a pizza stone. So a nice ceramic stone. And you try and crank it up as much as you can to have a really hot pizza oven. And it can be used for multiple purposes, but I wanted to use it to cook pizza. And I cranked it up to max, like 700 degrees Fahrenheit. And I didn't think about the fact that I also wanted to heat it quickly so you guys could get there and it could be heated up.
Yeah.
I didn't take into account that the pizza stone would hold a lot of that heat in once I let it go back down a little bit, probably about 550, 600. So the surrounding air and the surrounding heat versus the pizza stone was that range was way too big. So I don't know why I kept putting pizzas on there. I just thought it was I was in denial.
To be fair, despite being burnt, they weren't bad pizzas.
Yeah. And you guys participated. I really enjoyed that. I wanted it to be like a team activity, doing it from scratch.
Yeah.
And previously working at a pizza place helped me out, at least with molding the dough and everything. But of course,
I struggled with that pretty bad.
Of course, at the pizza place, the oven is set and it's not gonna fuck with anything. So yeah, not knowing how to properly heat that was a big problem. But then actually putting it in the real oven,
there was the other notification as well.
putting in like the actual oven saved it. Like we did some serious work to get those going. I didn't put.
It did stick a little.
Yes.
Yes. But it was still good pizza.
It wasn't black. Okay. I feel like I could have kept it in just for a bit longer to get some crispiness, but overall it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was good. That bread stuff was also really good. The cheesy bread you made.
Yeah, that technique.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that special technique I learned at the pizza place. So whenever you came over, you guys said you would stay for maybe 2 hours. And then I had mentioned the beach. And your girlfriend went, "We're going."
Yeah.
Easily extended your time being there. I'm really happy she was open to that, because that beach is beautiful, man. It was gorgeous.
That was a nice beach.
I mean, growing up around it, I take it for granted, but whenever somebody that I know that isn't from the area goes, they absolutely love it. And then taking a dog on
it was nice.
on the no dogs beach.
Yeah.
And then that lady came up.
She loved that though.
That lady came up to us right when we were leaving, and we thought she was going to yell at us.
I was expecting her to yell, but she was just trying to pet the dog. Can I pet that dog?
No, you cannot. She does not like people.
Oh. Dog is very scared. Specifically, that the dog does not like women. Despite being around my mother for a week and a half-ish now, my mother's just now getting to the point to where like she can stick her hand out and the dog will walk up slowly. She can pet her a little bit, but not a lot.
Would you say the dog got kind of used to me? I don't know. It was still barking at me a lot.
If we would have been around for 2 or 3 days, I feel like she would have gotten a fair bit more used to you. But not to the level that she has with me. That's still surprising. For context, I expected this dog to not like me. I expected the dog to be a bit of a pain, for lack of better words. and it was probably within the first 24 hours, the dog was pretty comfortable with me.
Nice.
I think within 48 hours, I had a picture of the dog laying on my back.
Yeah, I saw that picture. Did the dog ever lick your bald head?
Pretty sure she has multiple times.
Okay. It's almost like licking a cat's tongue. Unless you really shave that thing every day.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, the most recent
I need
picture.
to cut my hair today.
The most recent picture.
Yeah. Nah. I don't like that picture.
That is
I kind
not
of want
it.
her to delete that from the Discord.
And then what Ryan said, Ryan's tweaking, bro.
I don't remember what he said.
He said, basically your dick is out too. In that picture. Even though it's not.
That was in the context of people sitting in front of mirrors in VR.
Oh.
In VRChat. I believe.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, because I had said, oh, welcome to the virtual world of VRChat, like actual having a VR headset. Just don't sit in front of a mirror, or sit in front of a mirror if you want to become a real degenerate.
Yeah. Not doing that.
I mean, mirrors are cool. I think it's definitely cool to see yourself move in your virtual body.
I mean, I'll do that to like look at the avatars and see what avatars can do, but beyond that, nah.
Yeah, people sit there all day, and I think that.
Yeah, I'm good.
That could.
Like, I'll be honest. Having a headset on is really weird for me. It's like right now, I don't know how well this is gonna mark on my head. Like right about here, I get a little bit of pain, but I think that's just it's not well fitted to me right now, which is what it is. I'll deal with it. And she also made the comment to me of the first few times you're probably gonna get a headache in that, but be all right.
I think the longest single stretch I was in VR was probably 6 hours.
And then sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not at a good point in my life. But I was about 6 hours in, took probably a 10-15 minute break. I was just talking to somebody like we are now, just getting to know somebody.
Fair.
And I'll be honest, we were in front of a mirror, but it wasn't about the mirror. It was about our conversation.
Yeah.
So your hobbies outside of gaming are blacksmithing, correct?
That's one of them.
Okay.
Another one, I don't believe I've ever posted any pictures in the Discord or like really spoke about this too much in the Discord or in like the context of with you. Flint knapping, like making arrowheads from stone like Native Americans and all of our ancestors did. That's another one.
You've never mentioned that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to send you some pictures and stuff like that here after this or at some point today or tomorrow. I'll even send you the one YouTube video I have on it of me making an arrowhead from the bottom of a beer bottle.
That's so cool.
Fair warning, it's like 52 minutes long, but...
No, I'll check it out. So, a lot of working with your hands.
Yes, being creative with my hands and actually, like, making things. That's what I like.
What is your favorite thing you've ever crafted?
Knife-wise, it would probably be. I want to say it's the two most recent ones I've finished. They were around Christmas time. I had a coworker who was working with me at the time, and he wanted 2 knives to gift to his 2 sons. So I made 2 knives. They're just little like 3-inch blade, just everyday carry knives with some nice walnut handles, brass pins. Pretty sure I've shown you the picture of those.
Yes, I believe so. So the one you made me, you measured it and made sure it was within regulation, because I haven't really...
I really hope that did not pick it up.
No, it did not.
Okay, good.
You're safe. The one you made me, how long did that take you?
If I had to guess, like not including the sheath, I hate leatherworking. I like making knives. Love making knives. Leatherworking, hate it with passion. That's the only thing that I'm like, I need to get something down with this to where I can just very simply make and not spend much time on it. Because that sheath alone probably took me like 2.5, 3, maybe 4 hours. The blade itself, I'd say 7, 8. With all like the hand sanding, the shaping the handle. Forging it out really doesn't take too much time because I don't forge to shape the way that you really should. I will grind it to shape a decent little ways, but for the most part, I'll get it somewhat close. Some knives, like how you got the flatted blade, and then it angles down to the edge. Some of the knives I will forge that in as well. I don't believe I did a whole lot of that on that knife. I believe that one I ground it in mostly because that tends to be a little bit easier. But getting it flat to where the handle will actually like sit flush with the wood, that will take me sometimes upwards of 30 minutes, depending on how well I forge it. I need a new anvil, to be honest. My anvil has a lot of dings and everything on it.
So, how about the engraving part? How did you do that?
Like how it has my initials on it?
Mm-hmm.
So, very simple on that. That literally takes me maybe minutes. For the sole fact, like metal stamps, like it has the letters. I bought I want to say it was 1/2 inch stamp set from Harbor Freight, and I just put the M on there, whack. Put the R in there, whack.
Oh.
Very simple.
While it was hot,
you heat the blade up a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I don't do it when it's red hot for the sole fact of the stamps I have are maybe like that big. I can't really hold that while the blade is red hot and hit it. That is hot. Now, I could hold it with my tongs. I've done that a few times before. It's just doing it when it's like not at like an orange heat, but like a low red, I find to be easier. What I would like to get into is what's it called? Basically, you can do like your initials, and then you could take like a car battery and do a little like solution, stick like a cotton pad on it with one of the clamps to it, and it etch your initials into it. I don't remember what that's called. I need to look into that more, but it's expensive and I don't want to spend the money. But that tends to be a little bit of a better solution sometimes. Like the one I gave you, it still has some of like the forge marks on the edge of it. Not edge of it, like up near the spine of the knife. So it wouldn't really work well for that one. But if I did like a flat blade where I actually ground the sides down, just smooth metal, it would work really well for that. And a lot of professional knife makers prefer that over a touch mark.
It's called a touch mark, where you bang it into
Yes.
the blade? Okay. You definitely didn't touch it on the blade. That's kind of a weird phrasing.
No.
Touched.
Yeah, no, it's more of like a bang.
So, do you technically call that an engraving or just a stamp? What? I thought it was an engraving. It looks like an engraving.
I would say that would be more of a stamp.
Okay.
Because it's not engraved. Now, if I wanted to get really fancy with it, I could learn how to engrave, and on like really special knives, get like some gold, do like a engraved and inlaid gold MR on it.
That would be sick.
But that, I would have to do a lot of practice with that. But yeah.
You got any questions for me?
Oh, why you gotta put me on the spot like this?
Because we are on the show. Yeah.
Well, since I am the first person and they don't know a whole lot of your background, I will ask you some about like your medical background and what you're doing in the medicine field.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to school to be I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this, anesthesiologist?
Yeah.
Or something like that? Yeah.
So right now, how the process works is you need a 4-year degree in something, literally anything, to go to medical school. For example, this particular doctor that I've been around before went and got a 4-year degree in art history. Okay. But along the way, he did prerequisites for medical school, like organic chemistry, things like that. But his main degree was art, essentially. And he got...
That doesn't make sense.
I know, right? So I don't know that medicine was going to be his original route, but some way through he thought about it being his career, and then he decided to take these other classes that you need to go to medical school. So anyway, you can pretty much pick any 4-year degree you want, but do the prerequisites like biochemistry, organic chemistry, basically a bunch of STEM stuff. So it makes more sense to pick a STEM degree, so you don't have to pay all this extra money, to get all these STEM classes along with your non-STEM degree. So right now I am a senior studying biochemistry. That's my major. And my minors, I have 2 minors. I have a minor in interdisciplinary sciences and biology. Okay. So right now I am working in healthcare. I work with the anesthesia team. I am an anesthesia technician right now, which involves a lot of knowledge in and associated with anesthesia, especially the equipment. And essentially, whenever an anesthesiologist or a nurse anesthetist, which are the primary anesthesia providers, are the nurse anesthetists, at least in the civilian world. So it's basically a nurse that went through special schooling to provide specifically anesthesia to patients. And so to be more specific, I work in the operating room, where patients will come in with emergent cases and also everyday surgeries that aren't as serious. For example, like a tonsillectomy and tubes for your ears, things like that, appendectomies, a lot of back surgeries. So we are a really established hospital in the way that we have surgeons specializing in each type of surgery. And the ones that anesthesia has to be really more hands-on with are the coronary artery bypass surgeries, because specifically a central line needs to be placed in a large vein which will deliver drugs. So it's more of a access to deliver anesthesia more effectively. And the specific reasoning, which makes sense to me, I haven't actually asked this, which I probably should, is there's essentially a cardiac perfusionist standing at a machine that filters and oxygenates the blood for the patient. The patient's heart is stopped during the surgery. It would be very difficult to operate on a patient's heart while it's shaking and doing its thing in the chest cavity.
Makes sense.
So this kind of makes sense to me. It delivers drugs faster to the whole systemic cardiovascular system. And I don't know how the perfusionist part affects the actual circulation for the patient. It can't be 1-to-1, I feel like. It is a very large machine, very large and very complex. But I feel like with the lack of perfusion, slight lack of perfusion, giving the drugs directly into a large vessel is probably the better route to be delivering drugs. So the most, I would say, two difficult parts of my job would be, besides the knowledge base of all the anesthesia equipment, things like that, is assisting the anesthesiologist with placing the central line. So the nurse anesthetists are mainly the anesthesia providers, actually sitting there while the patient, inducing anesthesia in the patient, intubating the patient, keeping them comfortable while the surgery is going on, and waking them up. The anesthesiologists at my hospital specifically, and most other civilian hospitals, are there for emergencies, like very, very scary things happening, and or doing very particular techniques that the nurse anesthetist isn't necessarily trained for, like placing a central line. So what I do with the anesthesiologist with that is I make sure the equipment for the central line, which is quite a few items, there's this specific thing called a schwann, which it's this pretty much like circular catheter type thing. It comes in the package circular, and basically I need to flush it, as in put saline through each of the parts where it delivers drugs. And also it has a balloon that inflates on it, so I need to make sure the balloon is working, everything like that. So I need to in a sterile manner prep all this for placement in the patient. So I need to go to the cool sink and smash my knee into the it's basically, so you can't touch the sink when you're scrubbing in. So there's this little plate in front of the sink where you smash your knee into it and then the water comes on. So you're not supposed to be touching anything with your hands. So I hit the plate, I grab the special soap that we use, I scrub my hands all up and down my arms, everything. And you don't ever want to take your arms from this position. So essentially, you're letting any water drip down your arms rather than towards your fingertips where you're going to be primarily touching things. So you want to keep your hands up the whole way. And the OR doors have a special door handle to where you don't twist it, it pushes in to open up. So you basically push your body into it instead of having to touch it with your hands. So I have my hands up like this. I'm all scrubbed. I'm, very sterile. I push my body into the OR door, and then I walk over to my little workstation that I built with all the stuff on it for the placement. And I take the gown, I open the gown up, and I kind of put my arms into it a little bit, the sterile gown, and then somebody pulls the gown from behind me all the way onto me, ties it in the back while my hands are still up, and then I grab the gloves, and somebody puts the gloves on for me, pretty much. You can be double gloved, you can do it really however you want, but that's kind of how the process works for me. And obviously I have a face mask on, I have a scrub cap on, and now I have a sterile gown, sterile gloves, and I have my wheelie workstation. And so I wheel it over to the side of the patient where the jugular vein is, and the anesthesiologist is also scrubbed in. Typically the other anesthesia tech or the operating room nurse will dress the anesthesiologist as well. And so we're both scrubbed in. If he decides to, he'll either ask, has it been flushed? And of course I'll say yes, and he'll just trust me. Or he'll just have the CRNA flush it again. Or as in push the syringe with the saline in it. Anyway, so then they first do an ultrasound to identify the vessel. And they drape something over. They do an ultrasound to identify exactly where the vessel is, because you have some patients who are a bit overweight, you have some differences in skin color, things like that, and it's just a good precaution. So then I hand them a large, medium size, probably 10 cc syringe with a needle on the end. And there's different needles that come in the set. So it all depends on the anesthesiologist. You kind of have to learn what they want to use. So I hand them the needle. Well, first they prep the area with disinfectant. Then I hand them the needle. They push it in, and they get a flash. So blood fills the syringe a little bit. They pull back. It all looks good. Then they slide the needle out and keep a small catheter in. And then they stick this thing called a guide wire. It's kind of it's a small metal wire that they just feed into that catheter. They feed it. Oh my god! They feed it through the vessel, and then they get it to a certain point that they want it.
Opened.
Okay, they get it to a certain point that they want, and then they pull the guide wire dispenser holder thing, whatever you want to call it, off. And so there's just a guide wire and the catheter. And then typically they pull the catheter off. And so it's just a guide wire sticking out of the neck. They make a small incision where the guide wire is, right below it. And then this is when they feed the Schwann into it. So they make the incision. Then the Schwann is a bit thicker than the catheter was. That's why I need to make the incision. Then they just push it in, keep pushing it through the vessel, and then they'll pull the guide wire out. There's a couple things in between that I'm kind of leaving out. This is just kind of the general process. Once they place it, and then they put the balloon up to where it's placed, it's not going to move, and then they suture the area, and then put some Tegaderm to basically put it in place on top of the suture. And then after that, I'm done. I could just pull the gown off, and I'm good to go. I got to go tend to other things. But the anesthesiologist, depending on who it is, if you make a mistake or sometimes you hand them the wrong needle or whatever, they can kind of get frustrated. For example, whenever I was learning how to do it, and a different person was doing it, a different anesthesia technician, they were scrubbed in, and I knew they needed to use an ultrasound, and I had never used an ultrasound before. I roll it over to the anesthesiologist, and he goes, hand me the probe. So I hand him the probe, and he goes, what are you doing? I was, sir? He goes, where's the gel? I was like, oh, okay. He goes, what's going on here, guys? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I've never used this, so I didn't know. I thought you were gonna put the gel. In my head, I thought he was gonna put the gel on after he put the protector on. I didn't know how it worked. Okay, but so he was like, "What's going on?" I was like, He's like, take the probe back." And so I took the probe back, put the gel on, helped him put the protector on, and then he continued using it. And then I got, of course, we have this group me essentially that the CRNAs and anesthesiologists type what they need in. And so I just got a bunch of notifications on that. So there was other things I had to go tend to. And I was like, all right, I'm out of here anyway. Like, come on, dude. I don't know. It was my first time ever, using an ultrasound. So I don't know exactly what. I knew that gel needed to go on at some point, but I wasn't sure when. And he seemed like he was really focused on the process. So I didn't want to ask him that. But I guess I should have. Anyway. Anytime there's also machine issues, as in the ventilator machine for the patient, they call us. They don't know what to do. Or they might know what to do, but they need us to do it for them while they're taking care of the patient, if the patient is asleep. And unfortunately, there are issues that happen while the patient's asleep. I don't want to scare anybody. Every time things like that have happened, we've been able to have it under control. These are unforeseen circumstances. We get regular machine maintenance, but things happen. And thankfully, the CRNAs are good at their job, and no major issues have happened because of that. There has been this one time where anytime I see ASAP or STAT in the group me chat, I'm running. I don't care if they're using it just to get what they want soon enough and it's not an emergency, but when they say stat, I run. So I hear in the chat, new machine to endo 3 stat. So that means one of two things. The patient is asleep under general anesthesia and the machine stopped breathing for them, which can be disastrous.
Yeah, that
Or
doesn't sound good.
or her case is about to start. Their case is about to start, and they don't want to delay it because the machine didn't pass the test. Well, I run to the area where we have the machines, which is quite a bit ways away. I get the machine, I make sure it has everything on it they'll need, and I'm pushing it very quickly over to this area. I'm standing outside of the room. I put the machine outside the room very quickly, and all the other anesthesia techs along with me walk in the room. And my boss, the lead technician, who's been doing this for a very long time, he's very, very knowledgeable, walks up and is like, "What's the issue?" While the nurse anesthetist is bagging the patient, aka breathing for them with an ambu bag while they're asleep. So basically, if this CRNA stopped doing what she was doing, the patient would just become hypoxic and just die. So she's doing this while trying to talk to the lead tech about what's going on with this machine, because the lead tech told me, let me see what's going on with it so we don't need to replace the machine. And he's talking to her and blah, blah, blah. We basically cannot come to an agreement in the moment of what exactly is going on with the machine. She's like, I just need it now. I need a new machine now. I said, it's outside the room. So he starts to unplug the machine for me while I'm kind of prepping the machine and watching what's going on, because I've never had a process like this happen, fortunately. And so he's unplugging everything, unplugging all the gas outlets, everything, and we're rolling the machine out of the way. And she goes, I need an oxygen tank now. So I mind you, I do not work in this specific area in endoscopy, so I don't know where the oxygen tanks are. I just go and help out in the OR rooms over here. Somebody else helps me find it. I find it very quickly. I bring it to her. I was gonna help her hook it up because she's bagging the patient. She needs to be focused on bagging the patient. Then she goes, give it to me, and snatches it out of my hands, and then is holding it in between her knees and bagging this patient. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, she was freaking out. Absolutely freaking out. And then here comes in the anesthesiologist just standing there watching this happen. he's so they walk around with iPads. So he just has his iPad under his arm. He's like just watching this happen. I really wish I had authority, because I would have just been like, dude, please get him out. Please get her out of the room. Please take over. She's obviously like panicking, absolutely panicking. So anyway, I bring an oxygen tank. She snatches it out of my hands. I was like, this motherfucker. Anyway, I wheel the new machine in. We plug it up. It's working fine. It's one of the older machines. We call it old reliable because we have never had an issue with pretty much the older machines for whatever reason. And we plug it up. We get the patient attached to it again, a new machine, and it works fine. And then she basically thanked us all for running over there and doing stuff. And mind you, while this is going off, while this whole situation is unraveling, there's 10 other nurse anesthetists that need things, or need the room turned over, as in cleaned and the next case prepped, while this is going on. So anytime you're stuck in a situation for 10 to 15 minutes, you have more things you need to tend to and go back to. But obviously this was an emergency situation, and we had it handled pretty well. But I really wish that anesthesiologist had stepped in. I don't know why he did what he did. Probably because maybe he felt like she had it under control, or maybe he was taking mental notes of like, okay, she may not. I don't know, man. I'm not in the mind of the anesthesiologist, but that was one of the more interesting situations. I have watched someone die before. I wasn't personally involved in it. When you hear code blue, that means somebody's in asystole, their heart stopped. So I heard code blue OR2, and a bunch of people are running, and I didn't see that many people running, but I started running anyway. I get there, and there's 3 to 4 people in the room. One of the surgical techs is giving the patient chest compressions. I look at the monitor. It's, not looking good. The patient is still intubated. They're hooked up to the machine. So in terms of oxygenation, it's good, but their heart is it stopped for whatever reason. The case was already done. It just stopped. So I get in the room. I put gloves on, getting ready to step in as well to do chest compressions. Then probably 10 more people swarm in the room before the other person traded out. And I was just watching kind of the process, how it works. Watching them, give some shocks. They were pushing epinephrine, doing everything they could, genuinely trying. And it did not end well. That person did not make it out. But that's not anyone's fault in particular. It just ended up happening that way. And I had no problem running into that room. I felt almost no pressure, no anxiety. This is what we're doing. All right, let's jump in the game. I will try and do what I can for this person. And I walk out of the room, and of course there's more things that I need to go and do. And I see my other coworker, and I go, "Yeah, man, somebody just coded in OR2." He goes, "OR2?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's my buddy." So his friend died while he was at work. In literally feet away from him. He goes, "Yeah, man, I know that guy. That's a really good friend of mine." I was like, "Well," he goes, "How does it look?" I said, "Not good, man." He went, "Oh, okay. All right, you go to that operating room, I'll go to this one." Like, this guy just brushed it off. This guy is made of steel, dude. Do not mess with this guy, okay? But he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Are you good? Like, are you okay?" He goes, "It's just another funeral I have to go to."
God,
this guy might be a psychopath.
It might be, yeah.
No, I really like this guy. He's a good friend of mine as well. And yeah, that's one of the more interesting situations. It very rarely happens, code blues, but I was there to see one. I was going to jump in and help wherever I could, but there were people a bit more qualified, and by a bit more I mean a lot more, to handle the situation. But once I become an anesthesiologist, I will be that guy walking in there that everybody looks to say, "What now?" or "Step in," things like that. And
yeah,
I'm excited for that. I have no problem doing that. And these little stressful situations kind of give me an idea that I am going to be ready to do these sort of things that I need to do and have the patient's life in my hands. So I'm okay with that. And some people say they might be, but they've never experienced the sort of things that would really test that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty common.
So
bear with me, I keep having to fix the headset a little.
Okay. Don't get pains in your head.
Like I said, third time in VR, it gets uncomfy quick.
I feel like I'm getting used to it. I definitely got used to it pretty quickly. So
it doesn't help. My left eye itches. And yeah.
My nose itched not that long ago, and I just dealt with it. I powered through it.
And it burns now. Oh. We good.
Okay.
We manage.
So what's a crazy situation you've had happen at your work?
Honestly, I work in a warehouse, so there's really no crazy situations. The only ones I can think of are moments where I almost got into physical altercations with my bosses. And to be fair, I can barely remember those. It's just I get yelled at for a reason that isn't under my. So to put it shortly, working at FedEx, right? Got your truck. Truck getting unloaded, goes up a belt. Anything that's over 80 pounds or over, I think, 4 foot tall, I don't know. I don't work in that side anymore. Gets pulled off to put on pallets, palletized, pallet jack, take those pallets where they need to go. And this was like during peak or like towards the end of peak when we were really busy. So we had probably a good 100 ICs sitting in a section. And I'm walking back from doing something somewhere else, and one of my bosses yells at me. He's like, "Hey, I thought I told you to do this. Like, why aren't you doing this?" And it was basically just a situation of, "You never told me that. If you want it done, do it yourself. Walk away." To be fair, I did end up going and working on that. He never helped me. Fuck that guy. Same guy, another situation. Don't really know how this led to it, but me and him genuinely face to face almost got into a fight. It's so unimportant to me now because it was probably 3 years ago. Someone from another belt had to come over and like yell at us and be like, "Hey, break it up." That guy no longer works for FedEx. I won't get into too much, but he got fired for some really stupid stuff.
Okay.
It's wild situations aren't really common there. It's just you load the truck, you unload the truck.
What about work injuries? Yeah. Nobody's gotten injured around you?
Had someone drop a box of cast iron frying pans on his foot and break it.
That's rough. Did he need surgery?
I do not know on that.
Okay.
Again, this is like 3 years ago. It's a lot of stuff that's out of my mind now. I don't really remember a whole lot. Injuries myself, nothing major. Just lifting stuff to the point where like you go to lift something really heavy, like a rug that's long and probably like 90 pounds. Your forearm gets sharp pain. Normal stuff there. Back because I don't lift stuff proper. Just yeah.
So what
really simple stuff there.
What do you want to get into? You told me a bit about it, so how is that process actually going?
So you gotta call me out on that, don't you?
I do.
I'm accepted into the trade school for electrician, which I'd like to get into electrician. I need to go through, do more stuff. Like, to be fair, I haven't opened the email yet, and it's been like 5 days. I need to go through, get stuff figured with payments and all that. But once that happens, I'll be going to trade school for about 2 years. I'll be working, doing electrician stuff with it as well. If I do actually end up deciding to do this, if I can find a different job that's better and works with me more, I don't mind less pay, but it's still, electrician would be a good idea for future possibilities of moving out of state, yada yada. It's a lot of undecided stuff. I need to actually figure something out, though. It's like, if going back to my hobbies, if I could start making knives more, get more tooling to make knives faster and stuff like that, I wouldn't mind actually producing knives and selling those. I don't see that being feasible as an actual main income. A lot of stuff to do with money, I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about. It's just, but yeah, like electrician. I was thinking about HVAC as well, but I feel like electrician's the better option. Possibly making knives, just I don't know other than that.
I think you can definitely apply your skills to a lot of different areas of work if you're an electrician versus HVAC. You're kind of pigeonholed with what you can do. Whereas electrician, I mean, anything that has electricity involved, right? Anything that has current moving, which is a lot of different stuff. So you can specialize with that sort of thing.
Yeah. To be fair, when it comes to electrician, I feel like something that I would enjoy working with more is stuff related to solar. Just because I have a little bit of a hyperfixation on solar right now. I'd like to set up a solar thing at my property right now, as every once in a while we get power outages. And me being diabetic, insulin has to stay cold. So I have a generator for that right now, but I'd like to possibly build and set up a small, like, solar panel farm that runs into a battery bank to where I can have it charge, run at least a fridge, maybe a chest freezer on it during that time, so it's not like it'll also be quiet. Generator's loud. Yeah.
Solid idea.
Yeah, but other than that, with electricity, I don't really know a whole lot.
So, are you gonna get a job right outside of working? Or I mean, what job are you gonna do while you're going to school?
So I'll be able to get a job doing electrician stuff as like an apprentice, but the chance of me getting that right at the start is unlikely with the amount of electrician students at this trade school. I think there's something like 250, 260 students, and I want to say it's like 75% of those have an electrician-based job. I was told it would probably be maybe about a semester before they could actually get me a proper electrician apprenticeship job. But
That's not
I'm
bad.
really not too worried about that.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right, I think we've come to the close of the episode. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on, being the first guest.
Appreciate you bringing me on.
Absolutely. I hope to have
I
you
feel
on
like
in
there
the
could have
future.
been some more interesting conversations, but
No. I think
is what it is.
I think we got into it a little bit. I like it. All right. I hope to
Yeah,
see you again
yeah.
on another episode.
Yeah. You ever want to do a 2-person episode? I'd be down for that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It sounded a little weird, but I do know what you mean.
Oh, not like that.
Okay, not like that.